So I have gathered things like, credit cards or these gift cards that you get. This one happens to be from Starbucks. And I found this one at Starbucks during Valentine's. I love it because it's a heart, and I'm a bit of a heart junkie. This one I use not so much to stamp with, but I use it like a stencil. So I'll put it down and then I'll paint around it, and you'll see that a little bit later. Love cards. This is really a wonderful way to help people get over the white canvas, the not knowing what to do. So I will show you tools, demonstrate tools as I go through the process so you can see how to use them. And this is typically your first step when you're working with a group, is just show them briefly on maybe a small piece like this, a demo piece, how to use each of the tools and so just some ideas. And then set the stage through visualization or a meditation, and then allow people to really focus on moving from spirit. What looks like a color they want to use, what's a tool that's calling their name, and just play with mark making. I have lots of suggestions for paints, and for this kind of a project my biggest suggestion would be cheap. You don't have to spend an awful lot of money. So these are dollar store craft paints. That's good enough. I usually start with something, just a little bit here and there. I use the credit card just to move it around the page. Not really paying attention too much about placement. I just want to get color on the canvas. You'll notice I'm not really worried about these two colors mixing. They're both still wet, and I've got one painting over the other, and it seems to be working okay. The only time that you will get into trouble with wet colors painting or mixing in with one another is when colors are opposite each other on the color wheel. So if you find yourself any color wheel, you can download one from the internet. Anything opposite to one another, there's some interesting things that happen. If they are both wet and you paint with both of them, so if I painted with red and I painted with green, while they're wet and I'm mixing them on the canvas, they will turn a muddy neutral. Now sometimes you like that, you want that. If you're going for a painting, you're going for a neutral looking color, so neutrals are going to be grays, browns, generally dirt colored. Sometimes you want that. But in a project like this, what we're certainly shooting for is lots of crazy vibrant color. And in that case, I don't want to mix two colors opposite because they will turn kind of a yucky, brown, muddy, earth tone neutral. However, having said that, there's another really interesting thing that happens with these colors. If they're dry, so if this green is dry and I want it to really pop off the canvas, then I will on purpose put red next to it, and the two colors, it's almost like they vibrate. They make each other really stand out. So if I want lots of vibrancy, that's exactly what I'll do on purpose, but I make sure that they're dry. I guess the safe thing to say for people, because, dealing with the color wheel is probably more than people really want to jump into. This is really designed to be for beginners. I would say do this. Stick with cool colors at once, so the greens, the blues, the purples, paint all those. And then when you're ready to go into some of the warm colors, get the blow dryer or a heat gun on this, make sure it's dry, and then pull out some of the warmer colors, and that will alleviate any problems. That's the only thing that you really need to share with people. Cool colors, warm colors, let them dry. Don't work them mixed together. When you're gathering supplies for groups and you're looking for mixing trays, these work really well. So these are just tinfoil pans. Two people can easily share one of these, or if you have enough, certainly one per person. But it allows you the opportunity to work with various different tools that you might stamp with, or often I'll work with these rollers. This is a brayer used for printing, but any paint roller would do. You can go to a dollar store and find little miniature paint rollers, and having something that you can roll out in. I'm using a standard paint tray with a little piece of glass in it. It's just what I usually paint with. So to have enough room that I can use a roller successfully, that's why those big tinfoil trays work really well. And again, they're just left over from the food containers that I must have bought something with. This is another way of getting a bunch of color on a big space in a hurry. So then I look for objects or tools that I can stamp with, to make shapes with. Okay, so the other tools, some other tools, you know, standard sponge can be cut into shapes, into pieces. Just take a brush and dip it into your paint. Get a good coating of it on to the bubble wrap. And press that down. Okay, so more mark making tools. This is just a natural sponge. They come in all different shapes and sizes, great big ones, little bits and pieces. Just an interesting way to get paint onto the canvas and give a really neat texture. So I've actually dipped in two different colors, a dark and a light. Okay, so at this stage, if I'm working in a group, at this point the canvas is getting pretty full, like lots of mark making. There's still pieces, you know, there's still raw canvas peeking through, which is fine. The whole idea is that there will be layers upon layers upon layers, and much of this may end up getting covered up, and that's cool. If I'm working in a group, and up until this point we've been working collaboratively, then this is the point at which I would get everybody to sit down, relax, and I would tear the canvas up into the size pieces that for each and every person. So again, I said that this size I chose, this is probably about 18 inches by, you know, a little over a foot wide. This is a fine size if you're working as an individual and you want to make a banner at that size. If I was in a group, I might make it a little bit smaller. If you're a teacher and you're working with little kids, you may have them do little prayer flags. They'd be great Mother's Day gift for sure. And I would have them in that case, you know, maybe 9 inches by 6 or 7 inches wide. So you calculate the size of canvas that you need for the entire group based on how many people you have, what the finished size is that you'd like them to be, and that way you know how much canvas you need to start with. Again, what I'm showing you here is just what happens to fit really nicely on the camera. And this is the stage at which I would then end the collaborative painting. And I would tear it up and let each individual then have their own piece. And I would probably just do it as a random handout. You get whatever you get. Again, keeping people from getting attached. It's not about outcome, it's about play and experimentation. So, having done that, this is now where you would be working as an individual, even if you were in a group setting. And I would start then looking at working with stencils, perhaps. You know, here's some other suggestions too. It doesn't always have to be stencils. This is kind of a netting thing. You see, it's like a sleeve. I got this at the duty-free store when I bought a bottle of wine to take home from the airport. And that's what they wrapped around the bottle. So I thought, you know, I look at everything and think, how can I make marks with that? So this one, just so that I can lay it flat, I'll cut it in half, or just cut it open because it's a full circle. And there, I've got a neat little, it's almost like a resist. I can stamp away in a particular area with paint. In order for it to show up, I think you've got to have a fair amount of paint here. So I'm just doing a small area. There, look, again, another little bit of a pattern. But I'm just taking a little paint and getting a pop of color here and there that's looking kind of dull, or maybe there's not much paint.